It's Wednesday the 18th of February. From the MEN newsroom, this is Channel N's Lunchtime News, and these are today's headlines. Too fat for today's clothes. Now experts see how children here in Manchester really measure up.
The way that children's clothing is labelled at the moment is by age and by height, as opposed to by girth measurements.
Playing judge and jury, people in Salford get to try their hands at sentencing criminals.
I think it's quite hard to put a specific whether they're doing a good job, bad job, all right job, because some cases you look at and you think, right, yeah, you know, that is deserved. Other cases you think, oh my God, how the hell did they get away with that?
And on the starting blocks to go under the hammer, the racing cars up for auction.
There's never been a race car auction for around about 6 to 8 years in the UK, so now's the time.
Good afternoon. We start though with some news just breaking, and a picture has been released of a man wanted over £250,000 bank fraud in Oldham. Police are now starting a new push to trace a man they want to speak to over the theft. Well, our reporter Georgia Calvin-Smith joins us now to tell us a little bit more about this. Georgia, what more can you tell us about what happened here?
Well, James, it happened about last July when a man went into the NatWest Bank on Yorkshire Street claiming to have an account there. After speaking to staff, he managed to convince them to allow him to withdraw £263,000. But the problem is that the money the account came from wasn't his. Now, police have released a picture of a man that they want to question. It's 41-year-old Mohammed Ashraf Chowdhury. He's also known to have gone by the names of Mohammed Tahir and Mohammed Ashraf. He's also been linked to addresses in North Manchester, Stockport, Tameside and Bury, but as yet police still haven't had a chance to track him down. And
Georgia, what do we know of the investigation that's been in progress?
Well, police say that so far it's been quite a long and complex inquiry. They believe that Chowdhury has been moving around from place to place and are particularly interested in speaking to anybody who might have allowed him to stay with them. We do know that a 27-year-old man has been arrested in connection to the inquiry. He's been released on bail, but police say that they're still trying to get to the bottom of what happened and that the money is still yet to be recovered.
OK, Georgia Calvin-Smith, thank you very much for the update this lunchtime. Next, our children are getting fatter and the clothes we're buying for them no longer fit. Now experts at Manchester Metropolitan University are hoping to do something about it. They're measuring thousands of youngsters to find out how big they really are.
Over the years, the shape of the average child has changed and the big-name shops are now playing catch-up. An ambitious project at Manchester Metropolitan University will help adjust clothing sizes on the high street by scanning youngsters and working out average dimensions. Almost 1 in 3 children are now classed as overweight, and getting clothes that fit isn't always easy.
The way that children's clothing is labelled at the moment is by age and by height, as opposed to by girth measurements. So you might have a child that's sort of age 5, but you might have to buy a size 8 really to fit the height, and then the girth measurements might not fit.
A national sizing survey like this was last carried out about 20 years ago, and this time round they're hoping to measure the shapes and sizes of about 6,000 children aged between 4 and 17 years old, and they're looking for volunteers to take part.
The body scanner is one of the latest body scanners that we've been working with here at Manchester Metropolitan University. It involves 16 sensors and 32 cameras. Which record the change of shape of the body and the body measurements, not only your right-hand measurements but also your left-hand measurements. So it can scan up to about 200 measurements. So the data, it will be invaluable.
What will these results actually be used for?
The results will be used principally by the retailers who've been involved in this project, which is Next, George Asda and Monsoon, and they'll be aiming to produce children's clothing that fits a lot better than it does at present.
The technology in the scanner uses normal white light, no lasers or X-rays, and the study should be finished by the end of the year. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
A man's being questioned over a stabbing in Gorton. Police found a 27-year-old man who'd been knifed in the neck on Chapman Street early yesterday morning. They're now holding another man who's also 27 on suspicion of causing grievous bodily harm with intent. Several vehicles have been damaged in a shooting in Ancoats. Gunfire was heard during Monday evening's rush hour, and when police arrived they found some empty bullet casings on the floor. They think some commuters might have seen what happened. Police are trying to find the family of a pensioner whose body was dragged out of a canal in Marple. 2 dog walkers spotted the man in the water behind Goyt Mill in the early hours of yesterday morning. It's not known how he ended up in the water, but it's not being treated as suspicious. A 3-wheeled silver scooter he'd sat on to get around more easily was found nearby. Next, it's the sort of issue most people seem to have some sort of opinion on: how long different criminals should be locked up for. There's often an outcry when high-profile cases result in a sentence which members of the public say isn't enough. Well, this afternoon in Salford, ordinary people from the street will get to try their hand at deciding what punishment to give out. Ahead of that, we've been asking people what crimes they think deserve longer terms.
You take, for example, this latest one, where he only got 3 years for killing all those children on the motorway. That wasn't right. No, I don't think the punishment does fit the crime. Not at the moment, no.
And you get like somebody that it's a horrendous crime and they might only get a few years, and somebody else which is not as bad gets more, and sometimes you think, what's going on, you can't understand it.
Me personally, I think I'd tend to be quite prejudiced if it, say anything to do with young children, or because I've got children in myself, I don't think I could separate my personal feelings to do a professional job, really.
So do you think the judges have a pretty tough job?
I think they've got a pretty hard time, yeah.
Well, joining us to talk a little bit more about this now is Dr. Tim Marungun, who's one of those involved in the project. Tim, thank you very much for coming in this lunchtime. First of all, what exactly is going to be happening in Salford?
We're running an event at Salford Law School this afternoon called You Be the Judge. In simple terms, it's an event run in conjunction with the Crown Prosecution Service and the local magistrates court. And the idea is that they're trying to come in and give the public a clear explanation of why particular sentences are passed in relation to certain offenders.
So what will people actually be doing this afternoon?
Well, I think it's a common misconception that perhaps the sentences that are passed are not necessarily reflective of the level of seriousness involved in the crime. And so what will happen is that the people who attend the session this afternoon will be given a number of case studies to try and offer their opinions on what sort of sentence they think should be passed. They get an opportunity to vote on that during the course of the afternoon.
What do you expect people's reactions to be? Because when there are these high-profile cases, there often are comments, this person, that person, they should have been locked up for longer for what they've done.
Certainly, I mean, we've seen it quite recently with a case in Cheshire with the lorry driver who ended up killing the family of 6 and ended up with a sentence of 3 years. I think what happens with the session this afternoon is that I hope the public will go away with a better understanding of how sentences are passed, and also perhaps get a clear understanding of what particular factors the judges will take into account when it comes to passing those sentences. So I think people will be surprised that perhaps they find themselves sentencing people more harshly than the magistrates' courts actually do.
You mentioned that you'll be helping people understand what considerations have to be used.
Certainly.
In sentencing in these cases. How much awareness do you think there is of what those factors are at the moment?
I think because of the way these things are reported in the press, as a general rule of thumb, the public don't really get a thorough understanding of the sorts of things that judges take into account. But judges do have firm sentencing guidelines to help guide them when it comes to passing these sentences.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing more of what happens this afternoon. There will be more on that in our early evening news programme with Andy Crane from 5 o'clock tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. A decorator from Wythenshawe is criticising police after they took 5 months to arrest anyone over the theft of his wallet. Mike Downs had already given them CCTV of what happened and handed in names and addresses of the suspects. Footage from a CCTV camera above his own front door had captured pictures of 2 teenagers pocketing the wallet he dropped outside, containing £130 before they ran off into nearby woods. Greater Manchester Police are saying sorry for only taking action once the Manchester Evening News contacted them. Administrators for the music, games and DVD chain Zavvi are to close 18 more stores with the loss of almost 450 jobs. The branch in the Arndale Centre is being sold to Head Entertainment, safeguarding 34 staff there, but the Trafford Centre branch, which employs 24 people, will close. All those which are shutting will finish trading on Friday. America is sending another 17,000 troops to Afghanistan. Barack Obama has made his first significant announcement about changing the course of the conflict there. The new president says it's needed to stabilise the deteriorating situation. A couple from Wythenshawe say their dream wedding reception at Manchester United's football ground has been ruined when the club cancelled it for a rugby game. Michelle and Richard Murphy's marriage at Old Trafford was called off for a game between England and Argentina. The pair have now ended up bringing forward their big day and now want compensation from the club.
Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I just think that they've not even put it in writing, they've not said anything. I had to ring them up to chase them for the refund. It just devastated me. I thought it was a joke, and I just kept thinking of everything that was booked and half paid for, and it was just all ruined. We'd organised everything was ordered. We'd paid the £250 first initial deposit, and then we'd paid a first instalment of £549. We'd got the invites ordered, they were sent, we'd booked our honeymoon for in June, we'd booked the church, we'd booked the priest, the registrar, everything was arranged for in June.
I'm a big fan, I've been to many games, my uncle's got season tickets. In a way it has changed my opinion, but I don't know, it's just terrible what they've done, the way they can do that to a nice couple. It's just disgusting.
Well, in a statement, a spokesman for Manchester United has told us, "We're sorry that events have affected the couple's special day, but we have acted within the terms and conditions that they signed from the outset. We are doing our best to try to accommodate the couple and have offered to cover a number of irretrievable costs." It's reported the Yorkshire Ripper has been signed off as a low-risk prisoner, which could mean him eventually getting released. Peter Sutcliffe serving 20 life sentences for murdering 13 women across Manchester and Yorkshire in the 70s and 80s. Today's papers claim doctors at the secure Broadmoor Hospital no longer consider him dangerous. If the Justice Secretary Jack Straw agrees, he could be transferred to a medium security facility before any eventual release. 380 jobs could go at Salford City Council over the next 2 years. The move would save almost £11 million, but would mean losing 100 more jobs than originally planned. They'd go through voluntary redundancies and early retirements, and officials say there'd be no impact on frontline services. An event's on to remember the first person to fly a balloon over Manchester. James Sadler was the man to perform the flight more than 200 years ago, and it's a feat being celebrated at the city's Museum of Science and Industry.
We're celebrating James Sadler today. He was the first person ever to fly over Manchester. He was a very early balloonist. He flew from Manchester in 1785. Which was only about 18 months after the first ever balloon flight, so he was really a pioneer. He was an incredible man, incredible bravery to be able to do what he did. You have to remember he was flying a balloon filled with hydrogen, which is extremely explosive, so the dangers were incredible. He flew for about an hour and 45 minutes over Manchester, and then when he landed, he was attacked and they stole his balloon because it was made out of silk. So it was a dangerous pastime, whether you were in the air or when you landed as well.
Time now to take a look at the lunchtime sports headlines with even more good news from the third test. Here's Mike Bradley.
James, thank you. England are on the verge of levelling the current series against the West Indies, and after bowling them out yesterday for 285, thanks in the main to Graham Swan's 5 for 57, England closed overnight on 31 for 1. It's a lead of 312. Play resumes later today, and Sam Goodman will have regular updates from Antigua from 5 o'clock. Stockport County are up to 7th in League One following last night's 1-0 home win over basement side Cheltenham. Ollie Johnson securing the win with his first half strike. In League Two, Macclesfield drew 1 apiece with Notts County. Simon Yeo and Matty Hamshaw the scorers, with Rochdale held at home by the same score against Sammy McElroy's Morecambe. Michael Twiss grabbing a point for the visitors after William Buckley had earlier given Rochdale the lead. Manchester United will go 5 points clear of their closest challengers tonight should they beat a Fulham side who are without an away league win all season. United welcome back Wayne Rooney, Nemanja Vidic, Carlos Tevez, Michael Carrick and Dimitar Berbatov, while the visitors look set to be without Paul Konchesky and Andy Johnson. Levenshulme's Olympic boxer Joe Murray, along with trainer Joe Gallagher, joined me on this morning's breakfast show. And with Joe's professional debut only a few weeks away, I began by asking whether there was any news of an opponent.
We've been given a list of 6 kids, so we've just got to look. And to be honest, it's pro debut. To be honest, there's no one we fear in Britain at the moment, so and that's just starting off, and we're quite competent. So the main one will be in America. That's when we will have to do our homework on the opponent.
Joe's built up quite a good stable of boxers. Tell us about some of the names you rub shoulders with on a daily basis.
Matthew Macklin, who's gone for a British title. Tony Jeffries, who was Olympic bronze medal. and we've got some good amateurs in the gym as well, so it's a good crack in the gym at the moment. Everyone's buzzing and everyone's fighting at nearly the same time, so everyone's in the gym doing the road work together and pushing each other on the track, so it's all competitive in the gym.
Sir Alan Stanford, promoter of cricket's multi-million-pound Stanford Cricket Series, he's been charged over £5.6 billion investment fraud, and as a result, English cricket bosses have pulled out of sponsorship talks with him, despite having a 5-year deal in place to play games against the Stanford superstars. In ice hockey's Elite League, the Manchester Phoenix went down 2-1 against the Belfast Giants last night. David Alexander Beauregard on the score sheet yet again for the Phoenix, who now face the Newcastle Vipers this evening. That's in the first leg of their Knockout Cup semi-final. And finally from me for now, speaking ahead of tomorrow's UEFA Cup tie, Copenhagen coach Niels Solbakken has accused City's new owners of destroying football with their newfound wealth. And we'll have more on that story in tomorrow's breakfast show with Manchester Evening News sports editor Peter Spencer. That's all the sport from me for today. Please try and join Sam, as I said earlier, from 5 o'clock with all the latest sports headlines.
Mike, thank you very much for the update. Plenty more to come on Wednesday's programme, including pictures of some impressive racing cars about to go under the hammer. And we're at the official launch of this year's Race for Life.
Just take part, you can go along, you can walk. It's the atmosphere more than anything. Of course, the fundraising is the most important part of it all, but they don't have to run at all. Lots of people do, but then lots and lots of women just go along, have a walk, have a little bit of a chat, and it's just a really, really great day out.
Welcome back to Wednesday's Lunchtime News here on Channel M. Plenty still ahead before 1 o'clock. Also on our website, channelm.co.uk, you can log on to see more on the suggestion from the Conservatives that Manchester could have a vote on a directly elected mayor, and pictures from the memorial service for the wife of Coronation Street actor Bill Roach. That's at channelm.co.uk. Organisers of the Race for Life are starting a push to get people signing up for this year's event. Thousands of people have taken part in the cancer research fundraisers in the past, and it's hoped this year's will be just as successful. Beverly Walkton has more on this.
We're on Manchester's big wheel, and on a clear day I believe you can see Heaton Park, but not today, it's too misty. In June, that's where the Race for Life is taking place, and you'll be taking part in that, won't you, Sarah? Tell us why.
Yes, my husband contracted stomach cancer in May 2006, and unfortunately we lost him in October 2006, and he was only 31. So we've raced the Race for Life last year as well to try and raise money for Cancer Research UK, as we feel it's so important that the more money that raised, the less chance there is that people and families are going to have to go through what we went through 3 years ago. So I just feel very honoured and privileged to be able to be here with Cancer Research UK advertising this event and raising as much money as possible.
Now 11,500 women will take part. You aim to raise more than £500,000. What would you say to women who are thinking about signing up?
Just sign up. Just get online and sign up, or pick the phone up. It's such a fantastic day. We had a brilliant day. The sun was shining, the family were there, we had a picnic, and we ran the race, and the amount of people are there, and people that you never usually speak to, that you just find yourself chatting with, and it's just a fantastic family day out for a really good cause.
And I bet the kids are proud as well. Are you proud of Mummy racing, fella?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, there's the website at the bottom of the screen. Sign up and help raise money for Cancer Research UK. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Bev. The best of Britain's music industry will gather for the Brit Awards later. Coldplay and Duffy both lead the way with 4 nominations each. Berry band Elbow are also in the running for 3 awards after winning last year's Mercury Music Prize for their album Seldom Seen Kid. The ceremony at London's Earls Court will be hosted by Kylie, alongside Gavin and Stacey stars James Corden and Matthew Hall. Now, if you're looking for a new car, then here's news of an auction that might interest you, but be warned, you'll need deep pockets to snap up this one.
This coming Thursday, a whole host of rare race and rally cars will go under the hammer in Ashton-under-Lyne. I've come along to Simon Charles Auctioneers to find out more. So Simon, this is your auction house. Tell me, why are you having a classic car auction in Ashton-under-Lyne?
Well, we got together with Graham Glue, our motor racing consultant expert, around about 8 months ago. And together we came up with the idea of providing a race car specific auction. A little bit different from classic cars. There's never been a race car auction for around about 6 to 8 years in the UK, so now's the time. So we've got a few star cars, we've got a Graham Hill Embassy car, which we're hoping to achieve anything up to £350,000 for.
This is an absolutely beautiful car. What is it exactly?
This is an original 1970s Capri. Started life as an average Capri, a road legal car, around about 7 or 8 years ago. It had an original, completely rebuilt performance engine. Now we're hoping to achieve anywhere between 130 and 150,000 pounds.
Wow. And I gather this may look spectacular, but actually it's something a little more ordinary underneath all of that yellow.
Well, it started life as a mini metro, an average mini metro. Now it's what's known as a 6R Ford Dam. This very fast car again should achieve anywhere between 60 and 70,000 pounds.
So this is the Starlot, you know, a really beautiful car. Can you tell me something about it?
Yeah, this is Graham Hill's Embassy car from 1975. We're hoping to achieve round about anywhere between 220,000 to 350,000 pounds for this car. This car, sadly, was never raced. Graham Hill and his team designed it in 1975, but unfortunately there was an infamous helicopter crash at the time where sadly Graham and some of his colleagues died. Damien Hill signed it, his son, at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2005, so yeah, it adds more credibility to the car.
Yeah. And if people want to buy this car and any of the others, how can they do that?
They can register online and bid before the sale. Remember, the sale starts at 12 on Thursday, so if they register a couple of hours before, they can bid away to the heart's content.
Well, after a cloudy morning across much of Greater Manchester, let's find out now how the afternoon's shaping up with the forecast. Here's Michelle Eagleton.
Well, today started off mainly dry with a few sunny spells. We did have some heavy cloud this morning, but really not anything to worry about. It is this afternoon when we're going to see the real bulk of the showers, I'm afraid. Hate to be the bearer of bad news for you, but you really are going to need your umbrellas if you are going out and about this afternoon and this evening as well. Let's take you through the morning and see how that was shaping up because, as I say, very, very dark outside. But the good news was it did stay mainly dry with not a lot of breeze as well. Those temperatures reaching highs of between 9 and 7, so again fairly mild across the region. Not bad news at all, and hopefully those temperatures will be increasing as the week wears on. Now you see in the picture this afternoon really are going to see some heavy showers dominating there. Not so great if you are out and about tonight, but they should taper off overnight and into tomorrow. But unfortunately they're on the way back because tomorrow is particularly rainy. Friday's not too bad. Saturday we're going to see a glimpse of sunshine. Make the most of it because it's rain on Sunday.
You're watching Channel M's Lunchtime News. Our top stories so far today. Police have put out a picture of a man they want to speak to over a bank fraud in Oldham. They're investigating a customer who went in and convinced staff to let him draw out more than £250,000 from someone else's account. Researchers here in Manchester are starting a plan to measure thousands of children to track rising obesity levels. High-tech electronic scanners will gather data so that high street stores can start manufacturing bigger clothes. A man's being held over a stabbing in Gorton. Police found a 27-year-old man who'd been knifed in the neck on Chapman Street early yesterday morning. Police are trying to find the family of a pensioner whose body was dragged out of a canal in Marple. 2 dog walkers spotted the man in the water behind Goyt Mill in the early hours of yesterday morning. More on all those stories in our early evening news later. But from me and the rest of the Lunchtime team, have a very good afternoon. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.